Hey, so I'm outside in beautiful Colorado in the snow, and I wanted to do a quick video about worry and anxiety. So getting into worrying, here are some techniques to not worry as much or to help think through the worries. First, what you can do is think about how likely it is that the worry will come to be, because they say that about 70–80% of the things that we actually worry about never actually happen. So we're just constantly worrying about things that we don't even need to be worried about. So what we can do is we can think about how likely it is that that worry would actually come to be. If it turns out that it might be likely, or you're just worrying that it would be likely, you go into the second step. The second step is thinking about what would the worst case scenario be if that worry actually happened. Sometimes we worry about very small things. So if we worry about something extremely small, then the end result in the worst case scenario might not actually end up being that bad. It could be that we're worried that we didn't lock our gym locker and we left $20 in there, then we can analyze the situation. Well, we didn't lock our gym locker, but first somebody would have to actually check our gym locker to see if it's not locked. And that person would have to want to steal the money and steal the money without anybody being around. And if there are no witnesses to that, of course, then of course you don't know who it was or when it happened and stuff like that. But again, then you're only out $20. So realistically, what were you going to do with that $20? I mean, were you going to need it that bad? I mean, it's a lesson in itself. Like, don't leave your gym locker unlocked, If we're worried about our finances, there's two different types of worries. There's a productive worry and there's an unproductive worry. Now, in our productive worrying, that's where we can actually come up with solutions to the things that we worry about so that we don't actually have to worry about them anymore. So we're worried about, for example, like I said, we're worried about our finances. So if we're worried about our finances, what we can do is coordinate a budget to make sure that we're not spending too much. We can try to work on our income, increasing our value so that we can make more money or earn more money if we're self-employed entrepreneurs, something like that. We can also just look at our spending, maybe cut our spending down with our budget, and then budget our groceries with our necessities. And that would help a lot. We can start to save money, start to put more extra money away, instead of, just using it on some of our regular monthly bills. Maybe we could cut some of that money down that we spend on our monthly bills and save that. So a lot of that, of course, is all budgeting, but that's probably the best thing to do with your finances, is to budget and to earn. I mean, there's really only those two things to worry about for the most part. So, and then future expenses, of course. So you have to look at the future expenses, if expenses are going to go up. If you have something you need to worry about in the future, think about those and handle that. Now, you're not going to worry as much once you take care of those things, because you've already created solutions to your worries. Now, a non-productive worry is one where you don't have any answers to it, and you're worried about something's going to happen for usually no good reason. You're worried, I was, around carbon monoxide or something, and then now I'm worried that I'm going to get cancer. Well, there's no real proof or evidence that you're going to get cancer, and just worrying about that is not going to be helpful to you at all. Because in the worst case scenario that you did get cancer, of course, you don't even really know if it's going to be caused by your worries, and you don't know when it's going to happen. So you would have to spend every day and every moment worrying about that. And again, like I said, like 80–90% of the things we worry about usually don't come to be, or they're not as big as we build them up to be. So we can worry about things, and as we worry about them, we actually make them bigger into what they are. You know, you're studying for a test and you're worried that you're not going to get the best grade on it. But you know, you can eliminate those worries by actually studying for the test and studying more, knowing your work, being confident in your abilities, making sure you get a good sleep, a good breakfast, and then go into the test and take it. Now, you're actually going to do better at the test itself anyway if you're not worrying about it. So you should probably just do whatever you need to do to eliminate the worry. Now, anxiety and worries are pretty similar, but they're a little different. So anxiety is kind of getting worked up about your worries, possibly the ones that never came to be, and letting them thoughts repeat themselves in your head over and over again. If you allow that to happen, then you build up anxiety. Now, some techniques to get rid of the anxiety, of course, are getting your mind off of what you're focused on, changing your focus, positive thinking, and thinking about, you know, why am I so worried about this thing? So eliminating the worries helps you eliminate the anxiety altogether, if you can eliminate enough of them. As far as anxiety goes, there's a couple other techniques. You can meditate, you can actually write your thoughts down. Sometimes if you write stuff down, it comes to be, you process it better. And when you process it better, you'll realize that these worries or anxieties are really not worth getting all worked up about. For example, you know, I was in the military years ago, and I kept going to the range, and at the range you had to be able to hit 26 out of 40 targets. You hit 26 out of 40 targets and then you pass as a marksman. You can do better and get a sharpshooter or an expert shooter, but to get a marksman, you basically, at that time, you had to hit 26 out of 40 targets. I always brought my worries with me, because the drill sergeants would tell me, and the others, like, oh, if you don't qualify, if you don't shoot the 26 at one of the ranges, you know, you're gonna fail and you're gonna have to repeat and you're gonna be here months more. You're gonna have to go with other class and everything like that. So that increased my worries and my anxieties. But you know, realistically, the drill sergeants were not even being truthful about that, because they were going to do everything you can to get you to pass it. But I would bring my worries to the range. And I would bring my worries to the range, and I would worry even more, and it would make me shoot even worse. So, you know, the one day I'm out there worrying, and I'm focused. I'm focused on, or trying to focus at least on everything that I'm supposed to be doing. But I'm making like small errors, like I'm putting the magazine down and it's getting sand in it, it's jamming. You know, my breathing is just a little bit off, you know. I'm not paying attention to shooting center mass the entire time, something like that. Like I slip up for 1 second, and then it goes from me possibly hitting like maybe 30 targets to me ending up hitting like 23, 24, and I'm right under that. But it was all because of my worries and me letting my worries get out of control. So our worries and our anxieties, we can't sit there and let those things have power over us. We need to actually dominate them and take control of our lives, because if you live in worry, it's going to be very destructive to your life. It's going to be very destructive to your productivity and your happiness and everything. It's going to affect everything. So we need to, of course, pay attention to one worry at a time, not ignore it. No, we don't ignore it and pretend like we're happy. That's a bad idea. What we do is we take that worry, we analyze it, we see the solutions to the problems, we do the best we can to be productive toward, you know, building confidence and making more reasons to not be stuck in that worry, and then we can move on. And the more worries we eliminate, the less anxiety we have. If you keep busy, like I said, with anxiety, then you know, you'll keep focused on something else and your worries won't get to you as much and you won't have the anxiety. So that's my little tips for today. It's a short video, of course. I'm going to add more to this later, but thanks so much for watching and have a great day.